Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 9 of Mental Splunking. I just want to be very clear here. I'm very sorry we have a little bit of technical difficulty at the start. I hope you guys can bear with us. Should get fixed going forward, but we just had a little bit of technical difficulties. We talk about in this episode, Allison finally makes to LA. We kind of talk about her experience there. We talk about the idea of consumerism and how that kind of has percolated into our societies at large, and how that affects the value we place on people. And then we also talk about Allison's most recent experience where she went to London and saw a woman named Mother Amma. And we then also talk about my spiritual experiences with Vipassana. Anyways, we really hope you guys enjoy this episode, and we look forward to you guys listening to you right now. But all right, everybody, welcome to episode 9 of Mental
Oh,
Splunking. Episode 9. We've made it that far, which is pretty impressive. Um, I actually have a question for you from a viewer. The viewer wanted to ask if you made it to LA okay,
aw.
and if the apartment is big enough. Because I remember remember in one of the episodes you had said that
Aw.
you were worried it was going to be a little too small. So I thought that we should take a viewer question and to start it off.
Aw, thank you for thinking of me. I made it. Okay. I'm in LA. Yay. And the apartment is much too small for all of my stuff, which is interesting in that it's not that I have a lot of things, it's that there's a lot of art supplies for the class. So you can actually see behind me under the couch. How do I get my finger? Where's my hand? There it is. Okay. Well, whatever. You can see where my hand is. Underneath the couch are all of these bags that go under the couch that have all these art supplies in them. Um, yeah, so it's been an interesting attempt at putting things into a really small space. I just bought a bookcase. That's what this computer is resting on. I'm on the floor, and um, the computer's resting on two bookcases from IKEA that are hopefully going to clear up the clutter that is in this direction. That is the entire kitchen living space over here. It's just all covered in stuff. So yeah.
And, and didn't you live in this place with two people?
Yeah, Scott and I lived here, but when I lived here with him, I didn't have any furniture or I didn't have many things. And so when I would buy things, they were for the space.
Right.
And almost everything that I had for the space, I don't own anymore. So now it's another, yeah. And I don't want to invest too much in the sense that there are things that I could see that, oh, if I put shelving here and I did this, it would make it great. But I don't intend to stay here for 20 years. So I don't want to invest a ton of effort making it be, you know?
No, I know exactly what you mean. You're essentially saying, okay, this is a little bit of a
Mm-hmm.
stepping stone to another place that's
Yeah.
hopefully bigger.
Yeah.
And you're you don't want to go and spend a bunch of money on a space that then doesn't work in the next space. Because
Right.
I can tell you from moving, and my wife and I have moved a few times. No matter what you do, um, no matter what you do, the stuff that you had in your old place is very difficult to fit in your new place.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
I never understood how furniture companies and all these things just kind of stay in business because I'm like, man, like you move once, like you don't need to get anything. You just buy it once. And then I'm like, no, actually it doesn't, it never works in the new place. So you always have to buy new stuff.
Yes. Yes. It's some very strange law of moving from place to place
Yeah,
that
it's like
it
the
doesn't
energy.
work.
It's
Yeah.
like
Hmm.
your furniture has the vibrational frequency of whatever your old place was,
Yeah.
and it comes into this new place. It's like, no, we don't
Yeah.
vibrate like that.
Yep.
So, and then this is why places like Goodwill. I gotta tell you a funny story about Goodwill.
Mm.
So we have Goodwill in Canada, okay, and obviously you have Goodwill in the United States. And so in Canada, it's great. They will like take anything.
Mm.
Okay. They just like, hey, they're just really thankful that someone's dropping something off. I remember there was this one guy in Portland. He had this big hat on, and you'd show up and he'd be like, show me what you're bringing in.
Yeah.
And then he'd be like, we can't sell this. We can't sell this. And I'm like, in the back of my head, I'm thinking to myself, you're a charity that just give it away for free. No, we can't sell it.
Yeah.
In Canada, I'm pretty sure any of the stuff they can't sell, they just give away. So they're just more like, hey, you know what? We're just going to help people out. This guy, nope, we can't make any money off this. I know I
Yes.
can't make any money off your junk. So no. So then what I would do is I would just make huge bags filled with stuff that he said I couldn't bring in, and I just have stuff that he would agree to take in on top, and I'd be like, here you go. He's like, oh, I can keep that. I'm like, good. You have all the other stuff underneath though.
He's just gonna throw it away.
Right. But that's on him.
Is
It's
it?
100% on him. What am I going to do? What am I going to do? Just carry it around? I have enough stuff. My wife is a hoarder as it is. Like we need to get rid of things. And so my view is that if you're going to throw it away, that's on you. I at least gave it to a company who is supposed to give this stuff away to people who need it. And if you feel like you can't sell it, then give it away for free or throw it away, whatever. It's not my problem anymore.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. In all the places I've been that were small in the States, Goodwill would take whatever. But in
Yes.
the cities, not so much. They would check and make sure they could sell it or use it or something like that.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I think that maybe it's this. Maybe there are people who use the goodwill as a garbage. So I want to be very
Mm,
clear here. I wasn't giving things that were garbage. I was giving things that you could have repurposed or whatever, like shoes or whatever it is,
mm,
right? You know, I don't want these shoes anymore. And the guy would be like, well, we can't sell those. And in the back of my head, I'm pretty sure that you could find like a homeless man or
mm,
whatever it is who could use some used shoes.
mm.
You know, I'm not just dropping off like a bunch of broken two by fours saying, I don't
Oh,
need
okay.
this stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
That's not what I'm
Yeah.
dropping off. I'm dropping off
Okay.
old clothes or whatever it is. And the guy's like, well, we
Mm,
can't sell this. We can't do this. But I think in Canada, maybe this is just me. Maybe I'm being biased to my own country, but maybe people just don't drop random crap off there
mm.
maybe, or maybe Goodwill is just a little too Canadian and they're just like, oh, like we can't tell this guy to not take it. We'll deal with it for him. You know, I don't
Yeah.
know. Maybe it's somewhere in between that.
Yeah.
Whereas I feel like in the US, it's such an individualistic country, and it's kind of eat or be eaten. So I think
Mm,
that people might just take advantage of it. I'm not trying to say anything here about being mean to
yeah.
Americans. I'm just saying that I'm sure the reason why the guy says he can't sell it is they've been burned before. So they're just like,
Yeah.
we're gonna have a policy now.
Yeah. That would make sense. I definitely have seen people give things to Goodwill that no one would wear or want. And it's confusing because they don't want to throw it away. Like they don't want to have the burden of being someone, especially in a place like Portland or places like that, where putting something in the landfill is somehow a moral failing. So it's
Right,
better,
but
right?
well, this is what I find so funny about these people. I got no issue throwing stuff away. Like if you're not going to use it anymore, get rid of it.
Mhm.
Um, and then it's on you to not go and buy just useless crap. Like my wife and I talk about this all the time.
Mm.
You know, I would prefer not to use Amazon. I don't
Yeah.
like Amazon. I understand that there are times when, you know what, hey, it's easy, but I don't like that company at all. But I think that it's very interesting um in these cities where they definitely feel like they take the moral high ground on a lot of times, and you're kind of looking at them very funny because you're like, I don't think you do. Like, I think a really good example of this is so in California, there's all these rules that are going into place that make it really difficult for like oil refineries to exist in the state.
Mm.
And so everybody's like, oh, this is so great. Like, we're going to get rid of all these oil refineries. It's like, yeah, but you don't realize that there is a massive gasoline pipeline that's being built from Arizona straight into California to then have gasoline pumped into your state every single day. And same thing with from the state of Washington, right? So it's like or let's just even take it even further, right? Everybody sits around there and drives like electric vehicles. It's like, oh, look, I feel so great. Like I'm not having any emissions. It's like, okay, right. But there was like so many emissions that were created in building your electric vehicle. Um, but you don't feel bad. I feel like there's a lot of performative things that we do in society to make ourselves feel good, like
Mhm.
recycling. Like recycling is a really good example of it.
Yeah.
For one, if you put stuff in the recycling bin that shouldn't be there, they just throw the whole thing away anyways. So if you put a piece of garbage in there, like let's say you throw a shirt in your recycling bin by accident, they will just throw all that into the landfill. Secondly, they use like a ton of chemicals to break this stuff down. I only know this because I have friends that work in private equity that buy these chemical companies and they're like, oh, they like kind of figure out that they're like, oh shit, actually, recycling isn't that great. Like there's certain things like metal recycling, that's great,
Yeah.
all that. But the amount of plastic we use and it's actually very minimal amount of the amount of plastic that actually does get repurposed. A lot of it just is very difficult to repurpose. And but yeah, it's like we feel good. Like I remember there's that cartoon with the guy that like the things like Mr. Earth, where it's like, you must recycle. Like it's so good for you. And then in the back of my head, I'm like, man, I feel like everybody just got co-opted by these freaking chemical companies just to like so they can sell chemicals to these to people to then make themselves feel good about throwing their milk carton in the recycling bin.
I mean, maybe. I don't know what's behind it all. It's definitely a recognition, though, that we have a culture that treats things as disposable,
For sure.
including ourselves.
For
Right?
sure.
It's a reflection of how we feel about ourselves is how we treat the things in our lives.
I never thought about
So,
that. That's actually very interesting. Why don't you expand on that?
well, how we view ourselves and each other is how we end up treating everything around us, whether we're aware of it or not. And so the more, at least I can just say for American culture, because that's the only culture I know really. The more we the more we convinced ourselves that people are in some ways disposable, right? Our labor, our lives in a really very real sense, and not just the lives of people in our country, but the lives all over the place, right? It's justified to murder however many people in order for this outcome. That's
Because we got good intelligence, right?
yeah,
We had
mm-hmm,
we had good intelligence to
yeah,
bomb that wedding
yeah,
because we thought someone was there.
yeah. So when you treat people like they're disposable, and when it's in your culture, then what you start to see is everything becomes a reflection of that. And I remember when I think it must have been grad school, IKEA actually had a advertisement that I found so disturbing. It was a lamp. Maybe it was an IKEA, but I don't know, something like some furniture store. They had a lamp out on the sidewalk in the rain, in the dark, and this sad music playing in the background. And you're feeling sad for the lamp because it's perfectly fine. It wasn't like the lampshade was torn or anything like that. And then the advert said something like, why are you feeling sorry for a lamp? It's just a lamp. And then show inside, look how great it is to have a new one. And that for me just felt like it totally encapsulated this idea that the new thing is better. The old thing, someone will pick up the lamp on the side of the road, they'll reuse it, you'll feel good, it's okay. It used to be many centuries ago that people would advertise their products for their durability, for how long they would last, for their quality, which also speaks to how, in my view anyway, that feels like people talked about each other, right? With high integrity, with high quality. These things mattered. They don't really matter so much anymore.
I push back on people saying that we had high integrity like 200
Mm.
years ago or 300 years ago, but I will say that we definitely had a integrity of our product. Like you don't have to go
Yeah.
that far back.
Right.
You can just go like to the 1950s and 60s. You
Hmm.
know, like there we didn't have this unabound abundance back then. So when you bought a washing machine, you want that washing machine to A, last a long time, B, be fixable.
Yeah.
Like there would be parts and you could replace parts and you could extend the useful life of it. I think now, like we've even seen it like we had like our building manager be like, we'd rather you not replace this furnace because while it's really old, they don't make furnaces like this anymore. And it's
Hmm.
actually probably better for you just to fix this thing and kind of kick the can down the road than it is to put in these one of these new high efficiency furnaces that only lasts like 10 years or 15
Hmm.
years. I think that one of the really interesting things was what happened with the light bulb. So the all the manufacturers of light bulbs, like back in the 1920s or 30s, on purpose made light bulbs not last as long. They could have made them last longer, but they on purpose made them not last as long because that meant that people would buy more light bulbs.
Hmm.
And you fast forward to today, and I actually feel that that's kind of written into the fabric of society.
Yeah.
You look at
Hmm.
like the iPhone. This is like I have serious
Hmm.
issues with a lot of these tech companies. And the reason I do is because um, they have this whole thing where your iPhone should become obsolete every 2 years. And it's and they do it on purpose with software updates
Hmm.
and they just on purpose slow it down. And then on top of that, they make it extremely, extremely difficult to repair it. Um, which I don't really get. Like, I don't understand like why the government would want. I kind of get why the government because the government's kind of complicit, but it's a very odd thing to me where these companies are so um, revered by their customers when in reality they're some of the most deplorable companies in the world. I was talking about it with a couple people a couple weeks ago, and this one girl was in her early 20s, and I said, I don't understand why Gen Z is so up in arms against oil companies and copper companies and whatnot. They're just providing a product that everybody seems to need. Now, you could sit here and argue that how they do it's bad, but you know, they do it in Canada or they do it in the United States or they do it in mainland Europe. It's probably they at least have environmental protection laws. The thing that I don't understand is why you guys aren't up in arms against the Magnificent Seven. Like Amazon and Google and Apple and Meta are known nefarious companies. They these companies that created social media and like artificial intelligence and whatnot know that these things are quite harmful and just said, fuck it, this is better. Um, there's this great movie called Mountaintop or Mountainhead or something like that. It starts off with this tech guy saying, wanting to release this like AI video engine and he has known issues with it, like known issues. And he's in the car with these two employees who are not people who push them. They're just sycophants. And he looks at them. He's like, "Should I just start the like tweet like fuck like we're gonna release it?" And they're like, "What?" He's like, "Should I have like two Ks in fuck or three or what do you think?" And they're kind of all looking at him funny. He's like, "All right, I'm gonna release it." Click, and it's released. And then like throughout the movie, you're watching like the world kind of burn down because this AI video editing thing can like create deep fakes and all this kind of stuff. And you're in the back of your head and you're like, I feel like this is kind of how it went. It's almost like they had a round table and they said, should we do this? Like, it's not very good for the world. And everybody's like, yeah, but we're going to make a lot of money. And they're like, yeah, we should probably do it anyways. And they just damn the consequences. That's kind of where I really struggle with a lot of these companies that are revered by people. Like they love Apple and all these ones. I'm like, these guys suck. Like they're kind of shitty companies. But they've done such a good job marketing themselves as these, purveyors of good. And we buy carbon credits and we buy carbon credits and um, don't ask us how we power all of our data centers, but we buy carbon credits
Yeah.
and anyways.
The carbon is a really wonderful example of a way that we have twisted everything into one metric that is not the most meaningful at all, but that allows people to measure and then reduce or then do something with it and then demonstrate that they're doing something valuable. So you can be carbon neutral while still putting as many toxic chemicals into the planet as you'd like, while still creating a product that's obsolete every 2 years and requires new resources to constantly be building. You can treat the people who work for you like basically like slaves. You can use labor overseas that is slave labor. And none of this matters because you're carbon neutral. And it's deeply, deeply messed up. And it really reflects this idea of everything only coming down to one thing that matters because it's the thing we can measure, which again is not that different from looking at profit,
Well,
right?
I agree. I think that we're obsessed. We talked about this on an older podcast about the obsession we have with metrics and the
Yeah.
obsession of being able to quantify things.
Mm-hmm.
And you like it's very, in society we've determined what success is, whether it's a company or a person or whatever it is, because we figure out, okay, what's quantifiable? That's quantifiable. All right, that's the measure of success then. And um, I think that it's a very yeah, I don't think it's like I'm not sitting here railing against capitalism. I don't think capitalism is really the true evil. I think it's more of I think that what's really, at least what I've seen, what's happened is it's just been an absolute um, willful blindness of government just to like, and the kind of co-op, the kind of the merging of corporations and government at the same time over the last kind of 40 plus years. I remember I was at a presentation at this bank, and this bank's economist came out and was like, we need to reduce corporate taxes in Canada. And I almost raised my hand, but I was like, there's no point. But deep within me, I was like, wait, so we should reduce corporate taxes so these companies can buy back more of their stock, which is like the least productive use of money. You know, it's very Pavlovian with just how some people think about these
Yeah.
things. It's very
Yeah.
Pavlovian. It's like we
Yeah.
must do A because A works. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
well, sure. And look, I'm not trying to sit here and say, well, we should go and like take all the billionaires' money. And it's like that's kind of fucking stupid too. It's just like, there's probably something down the middle. But it's one of these things where um when you think about it from a spiritual standpoint, right? The more I think about it, right, the more I think that you're right about throwaway culture. Um, you're kind of almost like you kind of almost view humans as as a serviette.
Yeah.
It's like I don't give a shit. I bought this new iPhone. Look at how great it is. I don't care that there's nets around the iPhone factories that Foxconn has in Shenzhen or wherever they are in China. And there's nets around them because people jump out of the windows so often. They don't want people to die. They want people to jump out of the net into the net. Um, and yeah, like it's a it's a very much a throwaway culture. There's a really great scene in All Quiet on the Western Front. Do you know what the All Quiet on the Western Front's about?
Yeah, I've read the book.
Okay, so there's a really great scene where at the very so it starts at this is how the movie starts and this is how the movie ends. So the movie starts where the war is going to end at noon on a certain day. And this German general says, screw it. We're going to do like one last like run at it. And so at 11:59, if you kill someone, it's not murder, but at 12:01, it's murder. And sure enough, this guy blows this whistle, and these Germans just like charge at these French people, and the French are kind of confused, and the Germans like, and this guy's like, we're gonna go. And you think about just how egomaniacal, but not only egomaniacal, just how like much of a lost resource we just had, where there's going to be all these
Mhm.
people. They've survived since 1914. It's 1918. It's been 4 years. You're going to have all these people die at the very end of the war. For what?
Yeah.
For what? So that you can feel like, as a good German, that you're like, yeah, I did a last stand. I tried to get this. I tried to get 1 extra meter of Alsace. I don't want to give the Alsace-Lorraine up. I want to have 1 meter of it left. When the war is over, we can say, look, we gained 1 more meter of Alsace-Lorraine or wherever they were. And, and, like that general didn't run. Like, I give the guy full credit. He said, screw it, guys. I'm going to get on my horse, my white horse, and I'm going to ride with you guys. We're going to do one last run. No, this guy stayed in his little tower and said, yeah, run along, go away, run. And I think in that movie, they just showed the like just the how we viewed these people like a meatpacking plant.
Yeah.
Like, I remember they showed when they were giving the guys the uniforms, and they're giving them the uniforms, and the guy realized, like, the guy's an old name tag was on it, and the guy's like, oh, so this is
Oh,
this is a dead guy's uniform that you're not giving me. I think that movie did, because they did in the 60s. I didn't watch the older one. I watched the new one that was on Netflix. I just thought that movie was so well done. And I think that movie really explains kind of what we're talking about with like just you know, just viewing people like a meat horde. Like, yeah,
yeah.
keep going. Yeah, just roll through. Oh, the war is almost over. All right, we're gonna do one last charge. And then you have to go back to Bavaria and be a watchmaker again
Hmm.
if you survive. Oh, by the way, though, once the next whistle blows, it's almost like recess. It's like playing dodgeball. Okay, but once the whistle blows, we all got to put the balls down. This one's
Hmm.
like, Kate, the whistle blew again. Kate, don't shoot anybody. Like, if you're like right there with the bayonet in some guy's
Yeah.
neck, it's like, okay, I can't kill you now. Because if I kill you, I'm gonna go to jail. It's such a stark scene that stuck with me. And I think it's such a good encapsulation of how we view shit. I think Wall-E
Hmm.
is another good example of it.
Hmm.
When the robot's just going through all the garbage and everybody just sits there in their autonomous electric vehicle getting fat and watching TV. And, you know, maybe I'm only, maybe I'm naive, but I feel like there's got to be more to life than that. Like, I think both you and I have shown that, like, in the amount of work we do on ourselves. And I feel like trying to unentangle yourself and trying to really kind of get to what's true, because it allows you to enjoy the internal aspects of life, not the external aspects. I don't care how much shit you buy on Shein. Do you know what
No.
Shein is?
No.
Oh yeah, you should look that company up. That is one of the worst. It's a fast fashion company. The shit's just it's super cheap, and you're supposed to just like wear it a couple times and then throw it away and then buy new shit.
What?
Oh yeah, look it up. It's bad.
Oh, okay.
But anyways, I think that this whole idea of, I think it kind of all goes back down to, it's like we're all searching for meaning.
Yeah.
in the external world, and we all got to realize that. At least I've realized, you want to go buy all this shit, fine. I'm not going to judge anybody for who does it. They can do it. But, at least for me, what I've realized is that there's a lot more to life than just buying useless stuff.
Even useful things.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. Just, well, it does feel very much a reflection. One of the, so one of the reasons I ended up leaving sustainability after being in that space for so long was I came to the understanding that when we're whole and complete within ourselves, we don't want for anything. And it's not to say that we might not require a sofa or food or a place to lay our head. It might not be the case that we don't need a computer or whatever to do the work that we're here to do. It just means that the material goods that end up in your life are the material goods that are needed in order for you to live your purpose, in order for you to contribute in a meaningful way, in order for you to be in integrity with yourself. So it felt like trying to have conversations about reducing material goods from a sustainability perspective, buy this, don't buy that, think about this, whatever. All of that goes away in a sense when you simply are not buying as much. We just buy way more than is actually necessary to fill an emptiness. And I know this is said so often, and it's not like I hadn't heard it before. And honestly, I don't feel like I purchased that many things even when I was in sustainability. And yet, when I started to really, really deeply understand my own behavior, I could see that the material goods were a reflection of my inner state. And those couple of years when I was not working and kind of just being with myself, I hardly bought anything,
Yeah.
you know, because what
Yeah,
did
yeah,
I
yeah.
need?
No, 100%. I think that that's kind of what happens. It was really funny. I've actually had a situation where I actually do want something.
Mm,
And like, I want to buy a truck. I love trucks.
I
Fucking
do
cool.
too.
God,
Trucks
trucks
are
are great.
great.
Trucks
Yeah.
are so great. And I'm watching, and I look at Katie, I'm like, God, I want a truck. She's like, you never want anything. I'm like, I know. Rarely want stuff. I do want a truck. But it's I don't know what it is. I'm gonna go test drive one at some point. I'm not buying one right now. But I feel like it's just a very practical car. You can just do stuff with it.
Yeah, that's why I like them too. There's nothing you can't do. It's the
Yeah.
only vehicle I can think of where it doesn't feel limited.
No, no, like you could go
Yeah.
off-roading. You
Yeah.
could throw a ton of shit in the
Yeah.
back. You could
Mm-hmm.
haul something behind it.
Yeah.
You know, it's, like you're high up on the highway, you feel good. But yeah, no, I agree. I think that at least for me, what I realized is that you get such a fleeting level of feeling. I'm not even gonna say what it
Mm-hmm.
is. It's just a feeling, a fleeting feeling when you buy something, whether it's a high or a feeling of good or whatever it is, but it never lasts, and then I actually feel like the hole inside you grows just a little bit
Mm-hmm.
because you're like, okay, well, I bought this shirt and it felt good for 2 minutes. And then I wore it and it felt good. But then I don't have that feeling anymore. So I gotta maybe buy like two shirts. And then I gotta buy jeans. And it just like keeps
Mm-hmm.
growing and growing and growing and
Mm-hmm.
growing and growing until you realize that the hole isn't gonna get filled by the stuff you're buying. And you don't you don't realize that it's actually not about any of that. But that's kind of what's I don't know. I feel like COVID kind of like really just laid bare the economy. It's like, if we stop buying shit, the economy doesn't work anymore. So we gotta just keep it going.
Yeah.
Like unfortunately, this is just how we have to keep going.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it is what it is. But I
Mm.
wanted to ask you a question.
Sure.
because I know this is going to be a very limited time episode because we had technical difficulties getting on this episode, and then Allison's got some stuff going on in a little bit. But you were in London
Yes.
and you went to see this person called Mother Amma. And I
Mhm.
just wanted to ask you about the whole experience, how your experience was in London, how
Mm.
your experience was with this woman at a random racetrack. I think it was a very funny place to have it. Like, what a funny venue. And yeah, I just wanted to hear what you had to say about it.
Thank you for asking. Let's see. I'm going to try to maneuver myself in a position that is somewhat more comfortable. I fell asleep due to jet lag on the couch last night, and I have a crick in my neck. So, uh, yeah, I'm contorting myself in a weird space. Okay, so it was a really, it felt like a very profound experience to be there. I I had not been to any event before that would be considered spiritual in nature. I think we've discussed this before that I didn't come to these places through a spiritual lens. So, I mean, obviously, when I was a kid, I grew up Jewish, so we would go to synagogue. So I guess in that sense, there was something familiar in that there was ceremony and ritual and things like that. But it was a from a culture and a standpoint that I was not familiar with. So that was a really interesting experience to be among so many people who were familiar with that from all different themselves, all different cultures, and everybody doing things in unison in community. So it actually ties to what you mentioned earlier about the US being a really individualistic place that I, even when I would go to synagogue as a kid, I never felt like I was part of the community. And then I walk into this place where it really feels like a community of people. Um, and the community is really centered around this woman called Mother Amma. Uh, so when I first walked in, it felt kind of strange because I don't know her. I hadn't met her. I don't know anything about her. And instead of saying things like, the universe or source or God put us here or anything like that. The speech was all Amma did this. Amma put us here. Amma created this. And so I thought, oh, this is so interesting. It's not what I expected it to be. So I also had this really funny image that I thought, so she gives people hugs. I decided to go because I thought, okay, I've never experienced something like this before. And hugging seems really nice. I like hugging too. Feels like someone who's, you know,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
in my same space. Well, I thought it was going to be, she'd be up on stage or something, and I would give her, like a big hug. And then she would give me a big hug, and we would have this lovely hug exchange. It is not that at all. Uh, I don't know if it ever was that. I came to realize she doesn't want anything from from us. She doesn't need my hug, you know. I'm there to receive a hug. Um, which in and of itself was an interesting experience because it's not been since I was a kid, right? Like, when's the last time someone gave you a hug that you didn't hug them back?
Well, depends. Like if my wife is not into a hug, I'll give her a hug and she doesn't give me a hug back.
Mm,
But that's more of just a function of maybe like an inopportune time for giving her a hug.
mm.
But I don't think I've ever not given. Well, that's actually not true. But anyways, um, yeah, it's actually an interesting thing, right? Like if you're gonna go give someone a hug, usually it's kind of a
Yeah,
it's a mutual thing. It's not just
yeah.
like I'm gonna give you a hug and then you're not gonna do anything back. How was that experience?
So the actual hug experience was really stressful for me. The after of the hug, though, was really transformative.
Oh,
So
that's cool.
yeah, it's because they have everybody's lined up to receive a hug, and it goes really fast. So you go from one station to another station to a person to being shoved into Amma to then being taken away from Amma to being sat in a chair. And that happens all within probably 30 seconds. It's
Okay.
very fast. So I found it really disorienting and stressful because there are all these things that you were supposed to do and not supposed to do. And I honestly thought I was giving someone a hug and they were hugging me back. I thought I couldn't mess it up. And then I got up on stage and learned there were all these ways I could mess it up. And so people are putting your hands in a position. They're literally taking the back of your head and shoving it into her, um, and then taking you out. So
That sounds
uh,
very rote.
yeah, it was uncomfortable.
Like that doesn't sound very enjoyable.
No, no, I did not enjoy that. Uh,
Because it would be now like, look, I can understand if you're a woman and you're gonna have like a bunch of random people hug you, like sure, there's probably you gotta have some like ground rules and all that kind of stuff. But to have it be so mechanical in nature, you know, anyways, I'll tell you something after, but keep going.
it might have been, so I had thought, oh, maybe I'll do it again while
Hmm.
I was there, but I didn't have an opportunity to. I had thought if I had done it again, knowing what it was like, I might have been able to be more relaxed in it. But it was so much information. They're handing you sheets of paper to explain how it's supposed to happen while you're up on stage. So there just isn't a lot of time to process what's going on. And then you're in it and then you're out of it. Um, Nevertheless, the feeling was really strong. uh, I could feel something happening in my body. When I got back finally to the hotel, there was a huge change and shift that happened in me from being there. Uh,
Like, what was the shift?
um, Sorry, it's hard to put words around. I drew it, but it's hard to put words around it. Um, okay, that there is a way. No, maybe I'll just explain what it feels like. Sorry, it's not
That's
that
better.
easy to put into
That's no, no, that's
words.
all good. That's all
Um,
good. No, no.
it felt like,
If we were better, if we like, if we had better technical skills, we would just put the picture that you drew up on
yeah,
screen.
but we don't.
But we
So,
don't. Not right now.
so if you imagine an egg in
Hmm.
a little cup, and then somebody takes a little spoon in the top of the egg,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You're kind of crack, like kind of like a hard-boiled egg. You're opening a hard-boiled egg.
yeah, but not hard boiled.
Okay.
Um,
Soft. It's like soft. It's like essentially just an egg.
an egg, yeah, just an egg, and you give it a little crack at the top, and then at first it's just a little crack, and then as time goes on, as it gets jostled around and what have you, the cracks go down the egg. That's what it felt like.
Okay.
It felt like the hug was a little,
Mm.
and then over time, all these things started to move and shift in my body. Um, and the music was really, really powerful. So I had a huge experience during the music. That was before the hug. Uh, that was extraordinarily powerful. And what maybe more than the actual meeting of Amma was there were a bunch of people from, I mean, not a bunch, there were maybe 6 or 7 people from that community that we have talked about before, the leading edge community, who are
Yeah.
also there. Most of them women, 2 of them I'd never met before. Actually, 4 of them I'd never met before. That was my favorite part of the event
Okay. And
because
what's
those
so?
women are extraordinary.
Oh,
Oh,
really?
they all are. Yeah, everybody there was extraordinary. Like that was a very special thing to be in a space where I felt so vulnerable with people who felt like they were able and willing to be in community during that moment. That was really, really powerful.
Well, that's really nice.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of, I don't know if it's the exact same way I felt, but that's kind of how I felt at Vipassana in a
Mm,
way. Because when you get to kind of talk to everybody after, it was weird. It was like I felt like if you kind of felt like you were part of a community, but then I also felt like I wasn't part of a community because I felt like everybody's too into Vipassana for me.
yeah. Hmm.
And it's like I don't want to be a disciple. I think that's the other thing
Yeah.
that what I've learned with all this stuff, right? Like you know how everybody's running to find a new person, find a
Hmm.
new practice. I found like all the practices are the same. They all do the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
They all do the same thing. Is you just got to find the one that works for you, or the many that work for you, right? You know, and then that's kind of how I look at it. But yeah, no, it's a you know once we there was a feeling of kind of this community with everybody in at Vipassana just because we'd all done it.
Hmm.
You know, it's kind of almost like the feeling that you get if you like climbed Mount Everest with somebody. You know, you're like, okay, well, we did that.
Hmm.
That was really hard. And I hope my brother listens to this because my brother told me he's going to a silent retreat
Mm.
in January in San Francisco. And I think I sounded quite pompous when I talked to him about this because I was like, yo, I was like, how long is the silent retreat? He's like 3 days. I'm like, okay, that's doable. And then he's like, oh, says the guy that did the 10 day silent retreat. Like you're just so high and mighty.
Good on him for calling you out on
Good on
that.
it. No, because it's one of these things where the feeling that I had with it was I'm happy I did the 10 day.
Hmm.
I'm happy I went into it with no understanding of what's going to happen. And I also think that it can be such a jarring experience. Um, you know, like I couldn't drive at the time, so I couldn't leave. I'd have had to have called somebody and then burdened them to drive out, you know, an hour and a half to get me. So I was like, hey, screw it, I'm there. But and also like I'm the kind of person like if I'm gonna do something, I'm gonna finish it. But it's such a jarring experience. At least it was a jarring experience for me. Um, and yeah, like it's just something that I don't like you want to make sure that you're at least like somewhat mentally prepared for.
Yeah.
And like I had done a lot of not saying that you should do a lot of work, but I talked to our mutual friend Roshni because I used to work with Roshni. I said to Roshni, I'm like, I'm really happy we did all the work prior to that
Hmm.
because if I had just gone in, you know, while I was in the everything is awesome phase, I think I would have buckled. And I think it actually might have been a really bad experience versus a good experience.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, no, that's pretty awesome. Well, at
Yeah.
least and the good thing is you didn't become a disciple. Like you came back, which is a big
Yeah. Well, I don't have a good feeling about following someone around. I do feel, though, at the limit of breaking because so much was given and I had no space to integrate it. I
Mm,
haven't yet because I came right back and then there were things that I cannot wait for tomorrow. So tomorrow, the next day, the day after, I have nothing. And
that's exciting.
yeah, and I'm really looking forward to just sitting with it because every time I would go back to the hotel from being in that space, I just felt everything flooding through my system.
Well, did
But
you almost feel like you had too much? You like too much energy. Like you'd built like there's too much stuff coursing through your veins.
yeah, and I felt like I didn't have the like my system wasn't ready for that
Yeah,
amount.
yeah, yeah.
So I felt completely overwhelmed and drained. And uh, by the end, I almost looked like I was drunk because I was so out of it between not sleeping. So I had very strong jet lag from going over. I think I woke up every morning at 1.
Jesus.
So I was just up from one, and I would go to bed at the first night I went to bed at 9:30 or something. Then the second night I was like, okay, I'm gonna stay up really late. I'll stay up at till like 11, but I still woke up at 1. So that was not great. And then the last day I stayed up until 2, and then I had to get up early to catch my flight. So yeah, I
Oh, you're
failed
still
in sleeping.
you're still in the washing machine.
Yeah.
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 So in shamanism,
Mm.
this can be very prevalent because you build power, right? Like you
Hmm.
sit there and you build power.
Yeah. Sorry.
And no, no, it's all good. Do
They
whatever you
hurt.
need to do. I don't care. I don't care what you need to do. Um, and so you
Hurt.
build power, and then if you get the right group, you can actually build a lot of power
Hmm.
inside you. And you can use whatever you can say, energy, whatever it is. You're
Hmm.
building power inside you, and it can almost feel like you've overexerted yourself in a physical activity to the point where you're like, I might pass out.
Yeah.
And then what you can work on is you can actually work on like transferring that power. Like for whatever reason, when I go hiking, there's a lot of power that gets built.
Mhm.
I don't even have to try. I actually get like anxiety, and there's just so much because you're in nature and there's lots of you're
Mhm.
building power. This is how I regenerate. And sometimes I'll just go, I'll go ask a tree. I'm like, hey, can I pass some power to you just because it's a little too much? And it's actually nice
Mhm.
because some trees say go away, some trees say
Mhm.
sure, and you can kind of do that. So you got to get permission. You can't just like go up to some random tree or whatever and be like, give me your, or if you have a dog, right? Like if you got a dog or a
Mhm.
cat, you can ask them, like I remember you had a rabbit and I'm sure
Yeah.
the rabbit took a lot it helped you out a
Oh,
lot.
she did.
Yeah, great.
Yeah.
Jerome, great rabbit. Um, but I think this is for anybody out there, right? If you ever feel like that, if you ever feel like, wow, like I've just had an experience where, um, I've had an experience where I feel like I'm peaking too much, like like I was watching this movie called Take Every Wave, which is with Laird Hamilton. And one of the guys that's friends with Laird Hamilton, he's like, yeah, I'm out in Jaws. I go ride a wave and I like peaked. It's like I did it once and was like, oh my God, this is like too much, right? That's where that guy needed to go find like they needed to have a floating tree out there and be like, hey, tree, can I? Because then he could
Yeah.
kind of dampen it down because you don't want to fry your circuits either.
Mm.
You can have like the overload and then you can get the fry you can fry your circuits and it's not good either.
Yeah. Yeah, I felt very fried. I still feel quite fried.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah.
I bet. I bet. Like you got the crank in your neck,
Yeah. Well, that definitely is from the sleeping on the couch. I passed out. I don't even know
but
what time it was last night.
but it's also the fact that our Riverside.fm wasn't working this morning.
Oh, yeah. I've had a lot of issues with electronics since I've come back.
Oh
Mm,
yeah. No,
yeah.
for sure.
That's been
And
a
a lot
very
of
real thing.
interference. Yeah, a lot of
Yeah.
interference. And
Yeah.
it can be tough
Yeah.
when that happens. And yeah, like you want to be open, but then also at the same time, right? Like you also have to have the discernment of knowing, hey, you know what? Like I gotta damn this. I can't, this is too much. Um, because if you don't, it can be detrimental. It can be very detrimental. Um, but yeah, that's exciting though. Like that's really cool that you
Mm,
went there. And so did you and the leading edge people just like hang out at the conference or not the conference or the thing, or did you guys hang out after or how did that all go?
mm. It felt like I was there forever, but I was only there for a couple of days. Uh, Mostly at the event because we were at the event almost the whole time. So I had dinner with someone one night that was not there, but everything else that happened was there.
That's nice.
Yeah.
It's nice. It's
Yeah.
nice that you at least knew some people going. Um,
Yeah.
it can be a little distorting when you just show up in a random country and to go see some random person that you have to have a mechanical hug with, and then
Well, the first day I didn't know anybody actually. I was there by myself and I started talking to a woman next to me in line. And so we went through that experience together. And this maybe is another good way of putting it. We were laughing and kind of giggling a lot because so much of I think to release a lot of the tension around how the process was going. So we got there both really early. We were told to line up 2 hours before, or an hour and a half before the doors opened. So I got there at just before 7 in the morning. The doors opened at 8 and the service started at 11. I was, I don't know, 20th in line. I mean, I was right at the front. So I sat right at the front for the first part of it, maybe a couple rows back from where Amma was on stage. So that was also really intense because she's just really strong presence. Um, and because we were at the front, there were all these, and everybody organizing it was so stressed. There were all these things that we had to do. We had to remove our shoes and ahead of time, get rid of our coats, get rid of our backpacks and my glasses. So
so you're blind.
yeah, so I wear glasses for distance. I don't usually wear them for any for up. These are for if I get tired for reading and things. But when my eyes are tired, I wear them for computer work. Um, so I asked if I could keep them because I'd like to be able to see what's going on, and they said no. So she and I were laughing a lot because I think I needed to laugh or I was going to feel really overwhelmed because I'm like, now I can't really see and
Well, and
you're making me get
you're also asking yourself like, what the fuck did I just get myself
right.
into?
I'm like, this isn't the
Because it's like,
feeling.
okay, so you've taken my shoes, you've taken my coat, my backpack, you've not taken my glasses. This is probably how a lot of kids in kindergarten must feel. Like you show up in school, take your shoes off, put your
Yeah.
coat over there, put this
Right.
there. Now
I'm
sit in
like,
this desk, and you're
right.
like,
Like, but I want, my backpack has my passport in it,
yeah,
my wallet. I don't know. I would have liked to have kept some of those things, or at least had a conversation about what was happening.
yeah,
And
for sure. That,
um,
really quickly, that's kind of what it
yeah.
was like when I went to Vipassana.
Mm.
Get to Vipassana, and they make you sign a waiver.
Oh.
Like if you die here and I'm reading it,
Like, is this a good idea?
I'm like, I thought we're just meditating. The guy's like, yeah, this is just standard practice. In the back of my head, I'm like, I guarantee you someone's died.
Oh, yeah.
Someone's died or something bad's happened,
Mm.
right? So then you start to panic. I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, shit, my dad's already left. Like he's gone. And the guy looks at me, he says, look, I think you're going to be okay. I say, okay, sign. But then you're kind of like, well, what did I just sign away?
Mm.
So kind of in a way with you, right? It's a very jarring experience.
Yeah.
You show up, you're like, okay, the shoes, that makes some sense. Okay. The coat, well, I don't know if I really agree with the coat, but okay. The backpack, it's like, yo, hold on. Like, where is this backpack going? Like, what are we doing? Like, I need my backpack. And then the glasses are like, so now I'm gonna be flipping blind for the whole
I
thing.
know.
Like, this
I
is
know.
ridiculous. And by the way, I showed up here at 7. She's not even on till 11, so I'm gonna be blind for a long
Yeah.
time.
Yeah. It was hours where I couldn't properly see. Uh, and I mean, in one sense, great lesson in just going with the flow and letting it go. And that the laughter really helps with that.
Hmm.
And finding the absurdity. And I think a lot of it too is the tone. If someone came up to me and said, hey, listen, you're sitting in the front, and because of that, we're going to need at some point for your shoes and your coat and all these things to be removed because we're going to move the chairs out of the way. So here's the plan. This is where this is going to go. We'll take care of it. Like, don't worry. Like something as
Yeah,
opposed to
yeah,
like,
like yeah,
give me
communicate.
your thing.
Well, and
Like, what's going on?
the only thing that I can think of is like in World War II when they just rounded people up.
Yeah.
They're like, throw your shit in that thing over there. Take your
Yeah.
shoes off. Put these clothes on.
Yeah.
Okay, half you go this way, half you go
Hmm.
that way. Well, where are they going? Don't ask where they're going. Actually, you
Right.
get in that line now for asking that. And then you're like, I don't know what's going on.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a
And
lot of that.
whereas I agree with you, if they had a different tenor to how they're
Hmm.
talking about it, if they just said, "Hey, everybody, here's what's going to happen. Um, you know, this is where your stuff's going to go. It's going to be locked, like no one can access it."
Yeah.
Um, and then even said like, "Hey, this is why we want this. This is
Mhm.
why we do this."
Yeah.
And then go from there. But I just feel like when it's so abrupt,
Yeah.
like even like yeah, I agree with you that there's times to go with the flow and whatnot, but there's also times where you're like, like you don't want to turn off that spidey sense that you have, right? Not saying that you have the spidey sense here,
Yeah.
but like, there's a spidey sense for like, I don't, this doesn't feel good. Like
Yeah.
this doesn't feel right.
It did not feel good. In fact, a couple people in the front just left before she even arrived because of how uncomfortable that entire feeling was. Once she arrived, it relaxed and it was fine. Um, but
And
I was gonna.
I don't
Oh,
blame
go
her for
ahead.
leaving either.
No, of course not. No, I mean it felt really not nice. It felt like it felt like we were an inconvenience, that they had a job to do, and our presence and the chairs we were in the way of their job. And it was not my fault. You set up the
You put
chairs.
the chairs here. This isn't
So
my deal.
I don't know what to tell you. So, but I was going to say what I felt was really interesting too is this woman and I, for lack of a better way of explaining it, felt like little girls because we were laughing and being silly. And then after the hug, I didn't have that feeling anymore. I felt like I didn't want to be silly. And not that I didn't want to laugh about things or anything like that, but just the kind of standing on the sidelines giggling at the whole thing didn't feel like it fit anymore. And that was another way that I can try to describe how it
Yeah,
changed.
that makes
You
sense.
know,
That makes sense.
uh, yeah. So it was like I met her, and then when we spent the whole day together, and then she left, and neither one of us wanted to take the other person's number because it was so clear this was just a moment, and our connection as almost young girls is gone now. We're not
Yeah.
those people. Yeah.
Yeah. It's almost like that's what you guys need to get you through what you need to get through to get
Yeah.
there. And then you had that experience and you're like, okay, I'm good.
Yeah.
I am good.
Mhm.
It's yeah, I think that that's the beauty of it, right? You're going there for yourself and then the universe will always provide.
Mhm. Or
Um,
Amma.
I want to have I want to have a little bit more of a difficulty with. Like, sure, like if you were to break it all the way down, you're just to, like, look at your soul. Yeah, okay, sure. I could sit here and say that I created everything too.
Yeah.
But I also feel like that way of thinking is very dangerous.
How so?
Well, okay, I'll use like the Wheel of Time, right?
Hmm.
So claiming to be the Dragon Reborn versus knowing you're the Dragon Reborn is different, right?
Mm-hmm.
But claiming to be the Dragon Reborn is a very power-based thing. You're like saying, well, I'm the one that's going to lead you to like Rand kind of falls into it. And that's kind of the point, right? The point
Mm-hmm.
is that Rand had to go through that struggle of being not wanting of trying to be the person who he was in the Two Rivers to then becoming the Dragon Reborn,
Mm-hmm.
versus, whether you can use like Logain, for example, right? Even though Logain ends up being a really great character, like he just shows up in Gildan and says, I'm the Dragon Reborn and y'all need to follow me and I'm going to save everybody.
Mm-hmm.
um, there's like an inherent ego kind of power based thing I feel there, and I think it can be manipulated. It depends on like, look, I'm not trying to sit here and say that this is what this woman's saying. That's not. I don't know the woman. I never met the woman. I don't want to say that. But what I'm saying is that you see this with a lot of spiritual gurus who say, "I know all. I created everything." Da 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 da. Maybe they did. Maybe they didn't. But it's very, very easy to, I feel, very easy for people like that in a position of power to take advantage of that power.
Mm. Yeah, agreed. She wasn't saying any of that. Her messages were all love. from what I understand, and she doesn't speak English, so it's translated. So I'm
Yeah,
not
yeah.
sure if it's like perfectly translated, but it seems that she claims her religion is love. All she talks about uh is serving with love.
That's
So
great.
everything she talked about was that she herself never made a claim about herself. However, all the screens and the people and the whatever made loads of claims about her. And I don't know to what
See,
extent that is sanctioned or you know what I mean?
I
Like,
think that that's the difference between being between like Gautama Siddhartha and the guy they call Buddha, and then the
mm,
religion of Buddha. I don't think Buddha was going around being. This is my opinion, right? I could be
mm.
wrong. It'd be great if we could chant. If it'd be great if we could get him to like show up here in spirit and be like, "No, this is what I did." But in
No, I
how I,
actually went around and was like, I'm the best.
yes,
Follow me.
yeah, yeah, right. But he kind of strikes me as the kind of guy that figured out Vipassana, went back like, and he toiled his whole life trying to figure it out, and he figured it out himself, and then he taught it. But I don't think that he strikes me as the kind of person who was going around being like, "Look at how great I am," and
Yeah.
da da da. Like, you know, guy wore like a loincloth or whatever it was and hung out in a little like a little hut and taught Vipassana to people, right? Like if he was actually hell bent on taking over, he would just taken over. Um, but I think that's the difference between him and his religion, right? I think that, being a disciple of him is different than practicing Vipassana. Being a zealot of Buddhism is
Mm.
different than practicing Vipassana. And I think that that's kind of where I think that there's a dichotomy here where there's all these people creating a thing about her when she's just going around being like, hey, this is like what I
Yeah.
think and this is what I'm doing.
Hmm.
And like there's like it's almost like there's a marketing apparatus that needs to like
Yes.
that, and that the marketing
Yes.
apparatus is way different than her.
Hmm.
And the fact
Yeah.
that she doesn't speak English probably helps the fact that they can have this marketing
Yeah.
apparatus, and she can just show up there and smile and say, this
Yeah.
is so wonderful. And she's
Yeah.
like, I have no idea what that reads. Like, what does that say? I don't know. It just says my name in there. I can read my name. That's great. Move on. But it'd be very interesting to see if like you actually told her like, hey, this is what people are saying about you. I think she might. It'd be interesting to see what she had to say.
Yeah, it would be. And you're right about the marketing apparatus because there's an entire marketplace and everything in service of, you know, this is a bit of her clothing, or this is something that she blessed, or these are the colors that she wears, all these things. And she's talking about explicitly about consumerism and not buying things. And I'm like, but this whole thing is
Like
is that.
that's where I actually respect Tony Robbins.
Mm, who's that?
Tony Robbins? Tony
Yeah.
Robbins is like a self-help kind of guy. And he has
Okay.
these like huge, I went to like one of his things in Florida, and it's like, you go there and everybody jumps up and down and like yells and screams and dances.
Mm. Hmm.
But Tony doesn't pretend who he is.
Hmm.
He's like, yep, I'm a fucking marketing machine. Go buy my shit, buy my books, buy my programs, buy my supplements, buy everything. And that's what you need to do. And I actually like, you know what? I have no problem with people doing that shit because at least he's telling you who he is, right?
Mm.
But with this one, it's kind of funny where it's like, don't buy anything, but I blessed that shit over there. So please buy that stuff.
It was a very
Strange.
interesting, yeah. The clothing, there's just an entire industry built up around this, and it just shows there's nothing is immune from
Hey man,
our
she's got to get to London
our
somehow.
need. It was there was the people in front of me in line said something that I felt was so interesting. They were saying, because they'd gotten there early, obviously, too. And they said, this is so great. We'll get our hug and we'll be in the pub by 4. And I thought, how interesting is that? I like, does anything ever change if that's the way that you approach
100%.
things, right? It's like, so
That's
what are you
the
just taking from her? No wonder she doesn't
totally.
get hugs from anybody else because everybody's just taking they're just extracting from the experience and then going to live their lives again. And then they'll come back when she's back in a year. And
It's
it's
absolutely
like,
drain.
nah,
It goes back to what we were talking about before, right? Which is all about, um, if you think about consumerism, right? Consumerism is where you aren't giving anything back, but you're taking.
Mhm,
Um, and okay, whatever. Like it is what it is. It's fine. But the point that I'm trying to make about it is that, you know, when you look at like the 12 steps of AA, let's just say, right? All of those steps require you to both give up your control, but also have the courage to do what you need to do.
mhm,
So that's like a true self-help. When I work with you or I work with Roshni, or I work with my other old psychologists, right? All of them, well, both you and Roshni for sure, are there to point things out that need to get looked at and worked on by me, not by you.
mhm.
I think that's kind of where a lot of this energy work stuff is it's a gray area because it's like, okay, so I'm taking this energy from you, but did I just rob you of a chance to work on yourself? Like, did I just rob you of something?
That's a good question. I didn't feel that with her, but I also felt like it was possible.
Yeah.
My right, my feeling was actually what that experience showed me something really important to work on and why I'm so desperate for the time alone. Uh, it didn't feel like magicked, like she didn't magic me into totally being healed or something.
No, I think that's the one thing that I really enjoyed about Vipassana or any of
Mm,
this other stuff, right? It's you're like, it's the same thing with shamanism, right? It's like, well, I'm not doing the healing, I'm the observer there.
mhm.
I'm observing. And it's on me to remember what the heck I saw,
Yeah.
especially if you're doing work for other people. I was fortunate this last week to have had someone ask me to do something for them. And it's such a different experience than doing it for myself because when you do it for somebody else, you are so committed. Like I can't not remember this stuff
Yeah.
that I just saw because if I don't remember it, then I've like somewhat failed.
Yeah.
And but then the other thing that's extremely important is that when you give it to them, you don't give it to them filtered, you give it to them completely unfiltered. And you have to have the sincerity to not ever try to figure out
Hmm.
what it means because it's not
Yeah.
for you.
Yeah.
You say, this is what I saw. Here's the message. I remember the person that I did it for was like, well, what? I'm like, no, I have no flipping clue. Like, don't ask me that question. I have no idea. Here you go. You take it. This is what I saw. Move on. And I'm sure it's the same way you feel, right? You're like, I don't know what this means. I don't
Yeah.
know why there's a pink halo over your head. I don't know, but there is.
Yeah.
So move on.
Yes, it's true. And it's not for me to know.
No, it's not for me to know either. It's not for me to work on it for you.
Yeah.
What it is. What I'm there to do is I'm there to illuminate. But here's the even better thing. It's like you need to give me the intention. I
Hmm.
don't know what you want me to ask. I'm not a mind reader. You give me the intention. I ask you. I get permission.
Mm,
Okay, great. I'll go on and do this. Here you go. Down. Here's the stuff. Here's what I saw. Don't ask me to interpret it.
mm,
Hopefully, it's helpful. But yeah, do you have anything else?
mm. No,
All right.
I look like I'm from the future with a headband.
You actually look like a DJ that's worked too hard. You're like, I've been on stage a little too long. My, you know, my iPod just won't die. I want it to die so that when it dies, I can leave. I can just exit stage left. But
I
this
could
is
do a
where
little
I'm
like
at. Exactly. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoy this stuff as much as we do because we enjoy it. Even for all the technical difficulties, all the BS trying to get on here. My God, do we have fun. But, anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the episode. Thank you so much for listening. And we look forward to talking to you guys soon.
Yes, thank you.